She was the Virgin Queen, cloaked in pearls and painted in white. But beneath the silk gowns and golden crowns lay a secret hour, decaying and painfully human. Her empire ruled the seas, yet her body quietly rotted from within. What if the queen who defined an era carried a stench no perfume could mask? Queen Elizabeth I, daughter of Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn, the last Tudor monarch. Fierce, intelligent, politically brilliant, and one of the most powerful women in history. She never married, claiming to be wedded to England itself. Her rule brought stability after chaos, art after war, and order after blood. To the outside world, she was untouchable, a goddess in mortal skin. But behind closed doors, Elizabeth was a woman gripped by fear of losing control, and above all, fear of being seen as merely human. This fear didn't just shape her reign, it defined her most private routines, including how, or if, she cleansed her body. The year is 1588. The Spanish Armada threatens England, and the Queen, now in her mid-50s, rides at the head of her army, dressed in silver armor. She gives the famous speech, "I have the heart and stomach of a king." The crowd erupts. The myth of Elizabeth, the eternal virgin monarch, is solidified. But court life in Tudor England is nothing like the shining image it projects. London is crowded and filthy, riddled with disease. Open sewers run beside palace walls. Bathing is rare and viewed with suspicion. It was believed that water could weaken the body or open pores to illness. At court, layers of clothing conceal decay. Makeup is made of lead and vinegar. Wigs hide baldness caused by mercury treatments. The Queen's image is everything. No one dares question her scent. No one dares ask when she last bathed, because to question the Queen's hygiene is to question her divinity. The transformation didn't happen overnight in her youth. Elizabeth was lively, sharp, and full of charm. Her beauty was admired across Europe. But then came the pox-likely smallpox that scarred her face. She recovered, but she was never the same. In the aftermath, her fear of aging and imperfection took root. She began wearing thick white makeup made from cerussa, deadly mixture of white lead and vinegar. It cracked with time, seeped into her skin, and slowly poisoned her. Yet she applied it religiously, layer after layer, to mask the passage of time, to remove it. That required even harsher substances, mercury-based tonics that burned the skin and caused hair loss, insomnia, and paranoia. Bathing. Elizabeth was known to say she bathed once a month, whether she needed it or not. Water was feared. Sweat was masked with perfumes. Her gowns were rarely washed. Underneath, sores would form upon wounds hidden beneath silk. One of her closest attendants once reported that her teeth were blackened with decay and gave off an unbearable odor. Yet none dared speak of it. Her Majesty remained sacred and touchable, even as her flesh began to betray her. The court held its breath, adoring the goddess, ignoring the woman. As Elizabeth aged, the cost of maintaining the illusion became unbearable. Each morning, she would spend hours applying her white mask, cracking skin concealed beneath a powdery veil. The sores on her legs became so severe that her attendants used cloth soaked in rose oil to wrap her thighs. The stench of infection clung to her, but none dared wrinkle their nose. The pain was constant, but the emotional burden was heavier. She forbade all mirrors in her chambers. No one was allowed to bring them in. The Queen, who once relished her beauty, could no longer face her own reflection. Even the portraits painted of her were heavily idealized, showing a youthful, porcelain-skinned monarch, while the real Elizabeth sat behind layers of white poison. Bald beneath her red wig, teeth crumbling in her mouth, her closest advisors noticed her mind wandering. She would become paranoid, thinking servants were plotting against her. At times, she would fly into uncontrollable rage. The mercury, the stress, the solitude It all took a toll. She was still queen. But she had become a prisoner of her own image. Her people praised her. Poets worshipped her. But no one touched her. No one comforted her. She ruled alone, smelled of death, and was worshipped like a god. And like many gods, she suffered in silence. There was no war, no rebellion, no traitor's dagger in the dark. Instead, Elizabeth's fall came slowly, invisibly. Through illness, paranoia, and the decay she could no longer hide. Her final years were spent in isolation. She stopped attending council. Meetings, she refused to sleep, afraid she might not wake. She stood in her chambers for hours, lost in thought or speaking to shadows. She refused food. Her fingers trembled. Her attendants whispered dot. Her body was shutting down. By this time, her once legendary appearance had completely collapsed. Her skin was gray and mottled. Her wigs no longer fit. Her teeth were almost entirely gone, making speech difficult. And yet, the white mask remained. She died in 1603, sitting upright on a cushion. She had refused to lie down for days. Even in death, she feared appearing weak. The Virgin Queen was gone. Her body, once cloaked in power, drenched in poison, wrapped in silk, was now lifeless. And beneath it all was simply a woman, decayed and broken, whom no one truly knew. Her fall was not violent. It was silent and slow. A rotting empire, ruled by a rotting queen. Her death marked the end of the Tudor dynasty. But more than that, it revealed how deeply she had suffered to maintain an illusion. When her body was prepared for burial, her attendants were shocked by what they saw: the extent of decay, the chemical burns, the infections. The beautiful queen, whose image adorned coins and paintings, had been hiding behind poison and perfume for decades. Elizabeth. I was buried in Westminster Abbey beneath a simple inscription: consort to none but the Kingdom of England. But what they didn't write was what it cost her: the cost of eternal youth, the cost of perfection, the cost of being more symbol than woman. She died, adored, feared, and remembered. But she also died. Alone, we remember Elizabeth I as a ruler of brilliance, strength, and unmatched legacy. But we often forget. She was also a woman denied vulnerability. A woman forced to become a statue, frozen in white paint and pearls, stripped of softness, stripped of comfort, even stripped of her own scent. She was a monarch who changed the fate of England. Yet she could not change her own. The expectations placed on her by her court, by her people, by herself demanded that she be more than human, and so she erased her humanity. Her story is not just about poor hygiene. It is about what happens when power isolates, when image becomes prison, when fear of weakness consumes the soul. Elizabeth's legacy remains mighty, but beneath that legacy lies the faint, fading scent of a woman who is never allowed to be one.